Hi guys, welcome to Podcasting for Women in Business. I want to welcome every single woman in here that just joined. I think there's about 15 or 20 new members. So welcome. I'm super excited to have you guys. Today I wanted to talk about, in the month of July, we are talking about how to launch a podcast. And I am on day 6. And so today we are going to talk about show formats and segments, and then we're also going to talk about tech or no tech. Okay, so if you already have a podcast and you are well on your way to recording comfortably, creating content just fine, then this is still something that you may find valuable. If you are just dabbling into content creation in the online space, podcasting is definitely one of the platforms you want to get into before it becomes saturated. And yes, there are a ton of podcasters out there. However, it is a brand new platform. And I say brand new in a sense of popularity. Podcasting has actually been around for maybe a decade and a half now. However, in terms of accessibility, being able to just easily record on your phone or on any device you have, these past few years it's been extremely easier than it has been ever. So recording a podcast is a great way to showcase your expertise, a great way to showcase your knowledge and connect with your audience on a more deeper level. So this is a great thing for you if you offer a service, a product, if you want to grow your brand. So today we want to talk about show formats and segments. So for show formatting, it's really just understanding how you want your podcast to feel like, sound like, and the organization of the segments of your podcast. So the cool thing about podcasting is that you can literally do whatever you want. You don't even need to do a formal intro. You don't need to do a formal outro. You could have a long length podcast of 45 to 60 minute long length shows. You could do 20-minute segments and do that daily. And that's the cool thing about podcasting is that you have control over what you create, how you create it, and how frequently you publish, right? And in the world of creation, it's better to have that freedom than being constricted to the rules of a network, for example, or the requirements that a network needs of you to receive. Let's say, you have a show on CNN or ABC or NBC, and they are, in order for you to be active on the show, you need to have several million views to warrant you being in that network. In this case, you can literally have one view and you can still continue on and grow your podcast, even if you're starting off with a small audience. And if you have friends and family who are just listening, your show isn't over. You can continue on, grow your show, figure out different ways to market your podcast. So one of the ways you can format your show is you can have an interview type of show where you strictly just interview people in a specific niche, in a specific audience, whatever audience you have in your listeners community, whatever they like to listen to. You can literally interview anybody and then just post it as a form of material for your consumers. So it's you and an interviewee, and you guys talking back and forth. You have some questions lined up for your interviewee, and then that is the content, right? So essentially, you're not really bringing up any kind of knowledge base or expertise. In this case, you're bringing on someone else on your show to showcase their knowledge. And the cool thing about that is that you grow your network that way. Because let's say someone you decide is an interviewee has a larger audience, you can really gain their audience into your show. So that's a really fun way to grow your community. Another one is a multi-host show where, you have maybe a few friends on there, and there's people that, you talk to about either relationships, comedy, sports, news. There's a ton of podcasts that have different ways of growing the audience. And a cool way to this is that you are touching more than one group of people. If you have several people in on the show, you have several communities you're touching, right? So that's a fun way to do it as well. And then another format is the educational type of shows. So these are like more I've heard finance podcasts, or real estate podcasts, or even business education podcasts that are strictly educational and just more informational based. And then you can have a podcast roundtable. So that's more like, you have a whole bunch of different podcasters in your show, and you guys are just conversating about whatever topics you decide to talk about within that episode. Another one is a storytelling show where you talk about nonfiction items or fictional items. There's crime type of podcasts. There are horror type of podcasts I've seen. I've even seen like a witches podcast. I think this one in the beginning of this group, I had approved a member that she was she called her podcast witches, something with wine witches. And you can literally have any kind of topic or any kind of niche category. If it's nonfiction or fiction, it's literally any kind of direction, right? And then my favorite one is the one I have, which is a hybrid format. And it's a combination of all of those together. Sometimes I'll do storytelling. Sometimes I will do educational podcasts. Sometimes I'll have one of the members here be on my podcast. And I'll even throw my daughter in there. My daughter, I have two. I have a 4-year-old and a 6-year-old. And I'll just do a Q&A with them, and it's cute and they love it. And I think, in terms of a motherhood podcast, it really creates dimension in my episode. So that is a fun, the hybrid is what I go off of. So I like the hybrid. I don't know if you like the hybrid, if that sounds better than trying to stay rigid and, one format only. The cool thing about, again, podcasting is that it's all your call. You can do whatever you want as long as you are consistent, right? And providing value, some sort of entertainment, knowledge, connection with people, you're good. Now, in terms of segments, for me, again, with podcasting, you can literally do whatever you want. You can just throw up a show, not have it even be edited. You can just be raw, right? And just listen, I got a 60-minute clip of us talking about this topic back and forth, and I'm just going to throw it up there. That's cool, whatever. I think that in terms of professionalism, though, you want to have it polished, but you don't want it so polished where it doesn't sound authentic. So there's that nice boundary between authenticity and professionalism that you need to, as a podcaster, you kind of figure that out, and you figure out how to relate to people. You figure out how to, create that professionalism, that authority. However, you are not this perfect person where your clients just look at you like, I can't even reach that. I don't talk like that. I don't have all this knowledge base. I don't this and that. You just, have to have that balance, and figuring out that balance is all through action. Putting out shows, learning about how you deliver messages and how you communicate. So back to segments. So what I do in my own show is that I do a introduction. Hey guys, welcome to Talks with Maria podcast. Today is episode 313. We are talking about segments today, about launching your podcast. Please remember to check out talkswithmaria.com and The Boss Mom Mentality, available on Amazon. Let's begin. So that is my introduction, okay? The second part to my show is an ad spot. So I have an ad spot and I let it play. It's a pre-recorded ad spot, so I just add it on there. It's about a minute long, and then it goes into my show, which is the body of the show. And then I go into whatever it is that I'm talking about that day, and then I do another ad spot. Then I do an outro, right? So I say, thank you so much for listening. If you want to collaborate or if you have any questions, you can reach me at info@talkswithmaria.com. And that's pretty much it. Now, if I have several bodies, like if let's say I record one 15-minute show, then another 15-minute show, then I will throw in an ad spot in between those shows. So in total, it's about a 30-minute long show plus my intros and outros. However, you don't have to even do it that way. You can go straight into your intro, straight into your body, and straight into your outro, right? But in terms of, putting in music in between of there, throwing in your ads, it's always better to have it kind of cut apart. Then you can throw in all of those different additional things where you can get some money, right? Having those ads in there and being listened to. So that is the format and segments. I wanted to talk about, the second thing I wanted to talk about, or the third thing, is the tech or no tech approach, right? And I think I touched a little bit on this earlier in my podcast training, how I talked about using Anchor FM. But today I wanted to talk about, the mic you use, the editing software you use, the, what else do we use? Oh my God, I have a typo in here. The editing software, the mic, the type of platform that you're going to archive your shows on, and then what else? And then how to edit in a way that doesn't make you look like you are just way too perfect and way too polished, right? There is, again, another, being too polished is a bit of a turnoff for me personally. I don't know if you guys feel that way. I don't personally like seeing too polished people. It just turns me off. It makes me feel like it's fake. It doesn't feel authentic to me. And I want to see someone who is human and who can laugh at whatever silly thing they just said, and they can cuss a little bit, or they can call themselves out on whatever it is just happened that week or that day. It makes it more of a dimensional person, and I actually am enrolled in being able to work with them if I could, because I like to see authenticity versus perfection. And when you edit out the laughing or the silly soliloquies you go into in your shows, it kind of takes away from the fun characteristic that you naturally have, right? If you're quirky and you say silly things sometimes, I say keep it in there to at least an insight of who you are as a person. Don't let it overwhelm your show where it doesn't allow you to bring value. However, don't take out those items, because it's really who you are, right? You are, if you're funny, if you're quirky, if you say silly things, keep it in there. If you cuss a little bit, keep it in there. If you talk a little bit of shit, keep it in there. Because you know what? We all are the same. We all talk a little bit of shit, right? We cuss, we have some bloopers here and there, and it really creates for meaningful connection, and your audience will really love you for it, okay? So back to the low to no tech approach, I am going to go into how much Anchor FM is the best. I love Anchor FM, and they have been my number one from the jump. Guys, this is my 2 years into podcast recording, and I'm over 100 episodes. I have tapered off a little bit since I started my coaching business. However, I still have all my shows there. It's all living in there, kicking it, getting listens, I'm getting paid on ads. And it's all just working on its own. It's a system that just sits there and it's working, right? And it's free for me, and I love that. So I don't want to spend any more money on anything that I don't need, right? And podcasting is not 100% of my business, okay? I treat podcasting literally as an ancillary service to my community and a way for my clients to get more materials from me offline. And this is a really nice leg to stand on in terms of showcasing your expertise and knowledge. However, I don't believe that it should be your only leg. Okay, you also want to have different things. Maybe you want to create some products, you want to create some services ancillary to your podcast. Now, your podcast should just really be a marketing tool for your business, right? You talk about the expertise you have, you share how you can help people, and then you invite them to work with you. So in terms of the low to no tech, that is really what I'm reaching here, because I don't have to pay a monthly fee for archiving all of my historical information. In fact, I even have the opportunity to save those pre-recorded episodes, and it's still saved on my computer, and then it's saved in the Anchor FM site, which is great. So they give you your own RSS feed. However, I don't think the RSS feed is yours to start with. You can actually ask Anchor to change it to your email address. However, by default, it is going to be Anchor's RSS feed, which I'm okay with. I'm not like tripping hardcore because I have so many other things that is connected to my brand. Now, in terms of the other kinds of platforms you can choose, a lot of the other ones you have to pay a monthly fee, and they all differ from how much historical archived episodes you're going to have in there, and then also it's priced per data amount. So whatever, if you think you need to have, like, I don't even know the technical terms, but behind like how much episodes you're recording. So 1 hour worth of shows or 1 hour worth of audio is this much. If you have 2 hours worth of audio, it's another amount. If you have 3 hours worth of audio saved on your in this platform, it's another amount. So it's really like you're constricted when you have to pay a certain amount per how much you are recording, right? And on Anchor FM, you don't have to pay anything. You can record every day if you wanted, and it just sits there. And it's great. I love it. And it also, again, goes into the different types of listening apps. So you can do Spotify, Apple, Google, and then 6 or 7 smaller platforms that is available for Android and iPhone users. Now, in terms of your microphone, I literally record with my headphones. I have a simple headphones, literally, and I just literally record like this. People have their microphone and they like to take pictures with their microphone. They like to video with their microphone. Perfect. I think it's really nice aesthetics. However, if you're starting in this, you don't need a fancy microphone. You could just literally use your headphones that you currently have. You can even test how it sounds like before you actually publish it. And then you can play around with where you're recording. Some people actually record in their closet because of the sound. It doesn't create that echo. Or some people have some makeshift recording studios where they put like pillows up their wall to create that non-echo feel. So you can really play with it in the beginning. You don't have to overwhelm yourself with getting all the fancy Blue Yeti microphones that I've seen a lot of people talk about. So, don't overwhelm yourself with the tech. It's really just as simple as turning this on and saying, hey guys, welcome back to my show. Today we're going to talk about X, Y, and Z, right? So that will conclude my day 6 of the show, of the training and launching your podcast. Tomorrow we are going to talk about how to do a test run on your show, and then how to deal with guest interviews if they are international, if they're domestic, how to record those audios as easily as possible, and with very little money or zero required money down. Okay, guys? All right, if you guys need support, you guys know where to find me. Let me know if you have any questions. You can respond here or click the link below and we can chat further offline. Have an amazing day, guys.